Welcome back to the Chattable podcast, where enrich vocabulary and speak English with pride.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So imagine walking up to your boss after, just sending a few routine emails, maybe printing a document, and then demanding a standing ovation.
Right. You would probably be laughed right out of the room.
Exactly. But language learners actually do something kind of similar all the time without realizing it.
They really do, yeah.
They learn these explosive, highly dramatic English idioms, but then they use them for really boring everyday tasks.
Which is a very common trap. I mean, you learn a big dramatic phrase from a dictionary and then you apply it to a perfectly normal situation.
And suddenly you sound a bit like a character in a daytime soap opera.
Precisely. Because learning the definition of an English phrase is, well, it's truly only half the battle.
Right. Knowing when to use it is the real secret.
Yeah. And perhaps even more importantly, you have to know when not to use it. That is how you sound like a native speaker.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have two incredibly powerful phrases on the table for this episode today.
Two very intense phrases.
Very intense. And our very first one deals with total, absolute physical and emotional exhaustion.
That's right.
The phrase is leave it all on the field, though sometimes you hear it as leave it all on the court, right?
Yes, or leave it all on the pitch.
So what are the actual mechanics of this phrase?
Well, to really grasp the weight of it, we have to look at the literal words. When you leave it all on the field, it means you are giving 100% of your energy to an activity.
100%.
Exactly. Your passion, your physical effort, everything. The key word here is all.
So you give so much of yourself that by the time the event is finished, you are just completely exhausted.
Utterly exhausted.
Yeah.
You've held absolutely nothing back in reserve for later.
Wow. I used to think leaving it on the field just meant working some overtime or trying a bit harder than usual.
A lot of people think that, but no. It demands a sweeping level of exhaustion.
Where does that intensity come from?
It comes straight from the world of competitive sports. Think of American football, basketball, or soccer.
Oh, okay. So the all isn't just a metaphor there.
Right. The all is your literal physical strength. It's your sweat, your adrenaline, your emotion.
That makes sense. Like those football players earning immense respect for their work ethic because they leave it all right there on the physical grass.
Exactly. The underlying philosophy is that when the referee blows the final whistle, an athlete shouldn't feel like they could run another mile.
They should have an empty tank.
Yep. Every drop of energy should be left on the field. And that's why this phrase is such a massive compliment when you use it for someone's dedication to a specific intense event.
Okay, so let's look at the example from our source to see how this moves from sports into other areas of life.
Right. The example with Isabella.
Isabella and her dance recital.
Yes. So Isabella just finished a grueling 3-hour dance performance. She trained for months for this single night.
Just putting everything into it.
And when the curtain finally closes, she collapses backstage. Her muscles ache, she can barely breathe, but she feels incredibly proud.
Because she knows she left it all on the stage.
Exactly. Every ounce of emotion and physical stamina she possessed went into that one performance.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more because I want to test the boundaries of this phrase.
Go for it.
What if I'm just doing my normal office job every day?
Okay.
Let's say I type a lot of emails on a Tuesday, I organize my spreadsheets, and then I go to my boss. Can I say I leave it all on my keyboard?
No. If you do that, your boss is going to assume you need an ambulance.
Wait, really? But I work hard at my desk.
You might work hard, sure.
Well,
But this phrase should never be used for long-term everyday routines where pacing yourself is required.
pacing yourself.
Yes. Think about the source example with Lucas. Lucas is doing his normal daily office work. He's a good employee, but he does not leave it all on his desk.
Because he has to come back and do it again tomorrow.
Exactly. If you actually try to leave it all every single day, you will quickly face burnout. You just can't operate at maximum capacity indefinitely.
So everyday work is more like maintaining a campfire. You can't burn all your wood on a Tuesday afternoon, or you'll freeze on Wednesday.
That is a perfect way to put it. You have to save this phrase for the grand finale, the big special moments.
That makes total sense. Okay, so leaving it all is about expending all your energy on a big event.
Right.
But what happens when physical strength and luck just aren't enough? Like when you are facing a truly painful obstacle.
Well, that shifts the entire conversation. Now we're moving away from physical exertion and entering the territory of our second phrase.
Which is will one's way through.
Yes. Will your way through.
It sounds a lot heavier.
It is. This phrase is about survival.
Mm-hmm.
It means using pure mental strength, determination, and willpower to survive or finish a highly difficult and painful situation.
So the mind literally has to fight the obstacle and force the body to cross the finish line.
Exactly. You see this a lot with serious hardships.
Like an injury or a family tragedy or maybe a highly stressful exam period.
Yes. Situations where success comes simply from refusing to give up.
Yeah.
We nod back to those mentally tough football players who, will their way through difficult moments for the team's benefit, even when they're exhausted.
Right. And our source has a great everyday example of this with Sophia.
Sophia in law school, yes.
She has to take her final massive law exam, but she wakes up running a high fever.
It's a miserable state to be in.
Yeah.
Her physical body is actively trying to shut down.
Oh, absolutely. She definitely doesn't have a full tank of energy to leave on the field.
Not at all. Her tank is completely empty. But she can't reschedule, so she manages to will her way through the test.
Just suppressing the physical discomfort.
Right. She forces her mind to focus,
Mm-hmm.
and she ends up passing with a great grade. She survived it strictly through mental toughness.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Let's test the edges of this one, too.
All right, let's hear it.
So what if I'm stuck watching a really long, boring movie? Like, it's just terrible, but I stay until the very end. Can I will my way through it?
You could say it, but using this phrase for minor annoyances or easy tasks makes you sound way too dramatic.
So I shouldn't demand respect for surviving a bad movie.
Definitely not. Let's look at Oliver from the source. If Oliver is watching a slightly boring movie, he isn't willing his way through it.
Right, because he's just sitting in a comfortable chair.
Exactly. There's no real suffering. The phrase implies a real struggle, not just something that takes up a little bit of time.
So as we recap for you, the listener, the key difference is really about the emotional weight of the situation.
Yes. You want to use leave it all when you want to praise maximum effort during a special event.
And you use will your way through when describing the mental toughness required to survive severe hardship.
Perfectly said. Mastering the nuance of when not to use these phrases will completely prevent you from sounding overly dramatic in casual conversation.
It really just helps you speak English with total confidence.
It does. It shows you understand the cultural weight behind the words.
Well, to wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
A little homework.
Exactly. Think about your own recent experiences. When was a time you left it all on the field for a passion project?
And then contrast that with the time you had to will your way through a painful obstacle.
Yeah, how did that internal feeling differ between that glorious physical exhaustion and that gritty mental survival?
It's a great question to think about.
It really is. Thank you for joining us, and as always, keep speaking with pride.